You know what I realized is that most of us don't actually have a problem with motivation. We don't need more motivation. What we need is to realize, what are we motivated by? So most of us are motivated by lack. So we don't have enough of something, and it can be personal, it can be material. Obviously, it makes sense if you think about how capitalistic everything is nowadays. But the problem is that also translates to people. So people now are also objects, right? And if something's not going your way, or you just don't feel good enough, that means you're a bad object. You're bad. You're not good enough. So there has to be something more. You have to do more. You have to develop more. And I am big on self-development, but if the motivation is a lack, you're never gonna feel ready, you're never gonna feel enough. And that's a massive issue, obviously, because it kills motivation. So we build up, the strength to improve or to do, make changes, be motivated. And then we break down. And that's like an endless cycle, it seems. So what are you motivated by? Are you doing something because you don't have enough of it? You don't feel good enough for it? It will never end, I'm telling you. One day we have to come to the point where we're motivated by an internal guidance, a purpose, not because we lack something, but because we want to actualize ourselves. We want to be walking in our full potential, not just a part experience, part-time living. We want to live full-time in our full expression of ourselves, rather than we comparing ourselves and think, oh, somebody else is more developed than me, they're richer than me, they look better than me, they're stronger than me, all of these things. Because as I'm telling you, you can always, if you zoom in onto a specific feature or trait of yourself, if you think about one of your traits, you can always find somebody who seems to be better, doing more, being better at something than you. But if you look at the whole picture of a person, which you're never able to do because you're not them, then suddenly you realize it comes with some dark sides as well, some pitfalls, some downfalls, some downsides. And then suddenly you don't want to be this person anymore. But that's not something that's easily recognizable, A lot of rich people, for example, are very miserable, and we know this. Anecdotally speaking, we know this. But we still want to be rich. Even though there are so many of those people who want to jump from building or something, An acquaintance of mine knew somebody, his boss did it, and he had everything, seemingly. But that's the problem. If you're motivated by lack, you're gonna think, if you're this guy, you're gonna think, oh, well, what can I do to improve my life, to live the best life? Well, I can be rich, I can become rich. So he accomplishes that, which is probably very hard, and then still not happy. So then what you're gonna do, you're gonna be like, well, I tried everything, and I thought this was the last thing I have to do, and I'm still not happy, I still feel this void. And then what you do, you end it. And that's of the devil. That's of the devil. Lack, distraction, comparison, that's of the devil. And that's something we have to try to reject it. I mean, I'm not for suppressing anything, but it's not suppressing if you make yourself aware and then you consciously choose not to engage with that. You have to consciously steer your thoughts into the right direction and understand that sometimes your thoughts come from past people who didn't treat you right, past abusers, parents who, were the cause of your trauma, and now they're in your own head, criticizing you on a daily basis, telling you you're not good enough, you're too this, you're too that, you're not enough of this, you're not enough of that. Since I'm leaning more into my true, authentic self, to be very honest with you, since I'm doing that full time, as much as I can, be myself, lean into it, lean into my shadows, lean into my things that I thought is weakness, like being sensitive and all of these things. Since I'm doing that, I've never been more blessed. I've never been more blessed. People around me are inspired. My child gets compliments all the time of the way he is. And it's not that I made him like this, but it's a major thing, if you realize how you can influence other people around you. And obviously if you have children or something like that, or business, that's where you really expose your true colors, because you can't hide, you can't fake with these things to a certain degree. Some people will misconstrue, like, I know a child who's neglected and he seems to be calm and quiet, but it's actually a very problematic child deep down, because I know this child behind closed doors and not just in front of other people. And it's also a problem, like, it's being encouraged to be mature. Get over it, right? But that's the reason why my son is better developed than other kids, because I don't demonize his feelings. I'm not telling him what to do. We have talks about everything, And even if it's sometimes annoying, like kids are annoying sometimes. It's a full-time job and it's very mentally exhausting. And that's just an analogy to what you have to do for yourself. If you feel something that is not the greatest thing in the world, like something negative, right? You have to kind of accept it openly. Don't just, as I said, don't dismiss it, don't suppress it, don't blame yourself for it, because you're human. And the more you accept these things, the better you can deal with things. So, yeah, I think we have to be careful with what we're motivated by. We have to know where it comes from to actualize ourselves. I mean, that only leads to the best life you can live. It leads to so much energy that you didn't think you had. It makes life easier, and that's what we want ultimately. Like, why do we want to be rich? Because we want an easier life, right? But it doesn't cost anything to develop, and realize that you are enough. But at the same time, you can always grow in a meaningful way, and not just because you don't feel good enough. So, yeah, you're enough. And it can take time. It can take time to accept that fully and to love yourself on that level. But it's possible. I would, encourage anybody to at least aim for that, go into that direction, try to be real with yourself, but be kind to yourself and other people. So yeah, hope this was insightful. And yeah, if you care to like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. Speak to you soon, bye!